I need to unmute before we start. And of course, you'd think doing this enough times that I would know to unmute my microphone, but here we are. We are in our eighth and final episode or final week of Roswell Park's Ask the Experts webinar series. Just wanted to say hello to everyone. I'm Rebecca Vogt. I'm the Media Relations Specialist at Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center in Buffalo, New York. Just want to say I have so enjoyed spending my Fridays with all of you and bringing you so many Roswell Park experts and folks from the community in to answer all of the questions that you have had about cancer care, COVID-19, and everything in between. I know I've learned a lot, and I certainly hope that you have too. Well, again, as I said, today is the last of our Friday series. It has been a pleasure connecting with all of you virtually. We'll definitely have more webinars planned in the future, so be sure to stay tuned to Roswell Park's website and also our social media pages. As a reminder, for those of you guys who are joining us for the first time, all the videos from this series are available for on-demand viewing on our Facebook page and also our YouTube channel, as well as roswellpark.org/patient webinars. Now today, I am so very thrilled to bring back a speaker. I'm bringing back Joe DiNardo Esquire. He's the author of Mindfulness Matters. Joe joined us just a few weeks ago to discuss some of the common questions around mindfulness, but today he's actually going to be guiding us through a full session. A little bit of background on Joe. He is a local attorney who served as caregiver for his wife, Marcia, during her cancer diagnosis and treatment at Roswell Park. He found that his mindfulness meditation practice helped him through some difficult challenges of caregiving and also grief. He has studied and practiced Vipassana, which is insight meditation in India and Asia. He has also served as a teacher and inspirational speaker across the country. Joe, again, thank you so much for coming back and being on with us today. I'm going to turn it over to you right now on this very rainy day. I guess maybe that's a good way to kind of kick off, sort of meditation, listening to some of the raindrops too. So go ahead. You have the floor. And if there are any questions that come up at the end, we'll toss them your way. And for anyone who wants to ask a question, there's always the chat button down below. Be sure to send it to all panelists. And if you want to be your name not associated with the question, you can always check the box marked anonymous. Enough of my fast talking for now. We're going to slow it down a little bit, and I will pass it on to Joe. All right, go ahead, Joe.
Good morning, and welcome back to our Roswell Sangha. Sangha is a Sanskrit term that means a gathering of people of like-mindedness, usually in a spiritual sense, and often used as monks creating a sangha or nuns creating a sangha together to meditate. So this is our Roswell Sangha, our second meeting, but I think today we're going to be more practicing than talking. That said, I just want to make a couple of initial comments. The very first book that I ever read about Buddhism was written by Suzuki Roshi back in the 50s, one of the first Japanese Zen masters to come to the West. And the very first sentence of his very first book, I still remember it, went, "In the beginner's mind, there are many options. In the experts, there are few." So for today, in order to give you a full appreciation of mindfulness meditation, I'm simply asking that we set aside any expectations, any preconceived ideas, and approach it with an open heart and an open mind, and be receptive, and then judge for yourself if it's something that works and resonates for you. I'd like to also begin the first 10 minutes or so of relaxation. It can be enormously helpful as you continue to grow your practice to always be able to orient yourself to your body and drain any tension out of your shoulders and face and eyes and so on. So just follow along with me. Sit up, be comfortable. Place your feet flat on the floor unless you're seated on a meditation cushion. And I want you to be comfortable, but I don't want you to be in some sort of a slouching position that basically inclines you to napping or nodding. Gently close your eyes and Bring your attention to the top of your head and begin to sense for any tension or tightness in your skull, in your ears, in the side of your face, your cheeks. Make sure that your jaw is not clenched. Let any tension go in your forehead, in your eyes. Let it drain out. Relax your face, your head, your neck. Bringing your attention down to your shoulders. Be sure they're not hunched up even a little. Let them just rest. Let the muscles just rest on the skeleton. Down to your biceps and triceps, forearms, wrists and hands and fingers. Relax them all. Let all the tension drain out. Now bringing your attention to the top of your spine and slowly moving down your back, relaxing all the muscles, letting all the tension flow out. Keeping yourself straight and alert, but relaxed. Into the lumbar spine. Let it all just drain out, any tension in the muscles. Shifting your attention to your chest. Relax any tension that you might be building up in your chest from your breathing. Relax your lungs. Relax all the internal organs, your heart. Imagine the tension draining out of your chest. Notice if your abdomen is in any way tight. Tension. Let it go down into your buttocks. Feel the gravity pulling you down into the seat. Let go of any tension in your legs, your knees, your calves, ankles, feet, and toes. Let it all go. Just keep your attention on the body. If any particular area of the body calls your attention, let your mind go there and just observe it. As it passes away, come back to the general sensation of your body. If it helps, tell yourself, relax, relax, tension out. You can gently open your eyes again. You can do the relaxation meditation anytime that you feel tension in your body and just want to take 5 or 10 minutes to relax. Or you can do it before you go to bed at night. It's a wonderful way to sit privately, stay in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and just relax the whole body before you get into bed. I want to talk about mindfulness for a second, because now we're going to do a mindfulness meditation. And of course, we all know that mindfulness means to pay attention. And if that's all that it meant, then I would have been enlightened around the 4th or 5th grade in Our Lady of Perpetual Help High School, because each nun must have told me 3 times a day, Mr. DiNardo, pay attention. So it didn't do anything for me, but maybe it got me here. Mindfulness is paying attention in a certain way, because it's part of the overall tradition of looking inside, observing everything from our body functions and our breath to our thoughts, our emotions, our planning, and just observing them without getting involved in or drawn into the drama of each thought or each conversation or whatever it might be that draws you away from staying focused. But there's more to it than that in the tradition that I was taught, and that is mindfulness has a compassion or loving kindness component to it. Each time we drift away from following our breath, which will inevitably happen within the first 3 to 5 seconds, and we catch ourselves, we just make a mental note thinking. The compassion part comes in because we also train ourselves not to judge ourselves for not doing it right, for having a bad thought, for having a good thought. We don't castigate or punish ourselves. We just notice that thinking has occurred. And in that moment, with loving kindness and compassion to ourselves and our humanity, we come back to the breath. That may happen a few times. It may happen 100 times or more in the course of our next 10 or 15 minute sit. But it's part of the practice to catch yourself and be non-judgmental in coming back to the breath. And that's what makes this mindfulness a little different than what the nuns meant when they told me to pay attention in the 3rd and 4th grade. This mindfulness is ourselves catching ourselves drifting off from the object of meditation. And then with loving kindness and tenderness, we come back to the breath again. So that's essentially the practice. We start with focusing our attention on the physical sensation of breathing. Not the thought of breathing, not some imagination about breathing coming, but the actual physical sensation. You can focus on your abdomen as it rises and falls as you breathe in and out, or you can focus it on your chest if that's something that is easier for you. You can focus your attention on the entire process of breathing in the whole body, or you could focus your attention just on the experience, the physical experience of the air coming in and out at the tip of the nose. As time goes by, you'll be able to refine this ability to concentrate and to be mindful. And you will find yourself not drifting off so quickly. You'll also find that while your thinking doesn't change, it oftentimes has the sense of slowing down a little bit. So that's the practice in the beginning. There is, of course, more to it as we gradually get in and unfold some of the layers of our own personality and our own thinking process. But the idea here is that we're simply watching the mind as best we can do whatever it's going to do, and then come back to the breath. So I'll talk a little more about it when we finish this session. And then the third session we will do is what I call metta, or loving kindness, where we will walk through, or I'll guide you through a loving kindness meditation, which is a pillar of mindfulness. Wisdom, to see things always changing or rising and passing away, and metta, loving kindness. Those are the two equally important pillars of mindfulness. So get yourself in a comfortable position, move a little bit if you want to, keeping your body still relaxed, sitting in an alert position. Gently close your eyes and bring your attention to the actual physical sensation of breathing. You can experiment. Start with the tip of the nose. See if that works for you for a bit. If not, there are the other things I mentioned to you. Bring your attention and keep it focused just on breathing. This is not a military exercise. This is a gentle awareness of the sensation of breathing. It's not rigid. You're not forcing yourself to stay concentrated. You're allowing the mindfulness to observe the actual experience of breathing. If it helps to say in on the in breath or out on the out breath, you can do that silently. And each time a thought arises, whatever it is, without judging, just say, thinking. Come back to the breath. If doubts arise, just notice thinking without judgment. Come back to the breath. If you feel any part of the body tensing up, just breathe into that space and relax it again. And come back to the breath. Stay awake, stay alert, watching as thoughts arise without putting any energy into them, negative or positive, without judging them, good or bad. Just note, thinking. That's all that's happening. Come back to the breath. And each time you do it, come back with tenderness, without judging. Keep the body calm and relaxed. Feel if there's any tension that's arising because you're doing the practice, not exactly working the way you thought. Come back to the breath. It's just a thought. It's just a judgment. Nothing more. Come back to the breath. You may very gently open your eyes when you're ready at your own pace. Keep your bodies relaxed, your mind soft. I can't see anybody's hands or anything, so I can't make a joke of any kind. So, but I just wonder who would raise their hand if I said, how many passed the test? The first thing that we notice when we begin our meditation practice is, by the way, the same thing we notice after 50 years of doing the practice. The mind is going to think. It is the nature of the mind to think. And it pulls you away from the moment when we're not mindful. And it gets us into all sorts of predicaments and situations, and we end up doing things that we might not ordinarily do if we were wide awake and mindful in our ordinary lives. Forget sitting on a cushion or on a chair. So just a couple of comments about mindfulness practice. First, it is a doing thing. Yes, you can read about it, and that can be very inspiring. And yes, you can listen to lectures from gifted teachers, and that can be very helpful and very inspiring, and listen to instructions. But you have to do mindfulness practice in order to, the phrase they use is get to bear the fruit from the practice. And the fruit in our ordinary lives really comes down to some very simple but very profound things. We are so often controlled by our emotions and our immediate responses to things that happen to us, when in fact we would often have preferred, on hindsight, to have taken a deep breath and decided on perhaps a more skillful way to respond to someone or to something than the way we did. If you stick with the mindfulness practice, one of the things you'll initially begin to see is that during the day, you'll find that suddenly you'll be giving yourself those opportunities more often than not by being in the moment more easily than not. But that's only going to happen if you decide and make a commitment of some sort that I'm going to sit every day for 15 minutes in the morning or at night or at whatever time works best for you. So you can develop your practice, because mindfulness grows in increments by how often you're actually doing it. You can also add to that doing it during the day, where you might just be on an elevator by yourself or even with somebody else, but you're alone, and just click into your breath. Just check in, center yourself, just for a few seconds, maybe even a little longer than that. So again, so that we appreciate mindfulness in the context that I'm using it, has two equally important pillars. One is wisdom, and in the tradition that I'm sharing with you, wisdom is seeing things as they are, seeing the mind as it arises and passes away on its own without us interfering in any way. And an intuitive sort of wisdom occurs as we develop and deepen that process, that instead of always being with the breath, you might focus your attention on physical sensations in the body, on pain or on pleasant feelings. You might then find the ability to focus your attention on strong emotions rather than be consumed or drawn into the dynamics of the emotion. We can watch them and see if they dissipate on their own. So the wisdom is just in seeing that everything is in constant flux. Everything is changing all the time. And compassion, an equally important pillar of mindfulness, is the development of loving kindness toward ourselves, and then by extension to other people. So the last practice we'll do, which is part of the mindfulness, is specifically designed to cultivate loving kindness or compassion. It's called metta, M-E-T-T-A, meditation. So shake off any tension, relax again, get yourself in a comfortable position. And I will walk you through this. You needn't say anything. You can just listen to my voice and see if you can be in touch with the feeling of love and compassion that we're trying to develop and cultivate. So I want you to close your eyes and imagine yourself as you're sitting right now, right? Just the way you look, the way you're dressed, even if you're still in your pajamas. Just imagine yourself sitting there with your eyes closed and gently say these words to yourself. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I know peace. And feel that love and compassion we're generating for ourselves. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. May I know peace. And now I want you to imagine a person, a group, some entity that you already have great affection and love for. Could be a child, a spouse, a partner, a parent, a sibling, a friend, someone who's passed away, someone who is still alive. Picture that person in your mind, hold that thought, and with that person in mind, repeat, may you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you know peace. Keeping that thought, may you be happy. May you be free from suffering. May you know peace. And now to our entire Sangha here, our little Roswell Sangha, our group. Feel the expansion of that compassion to engulf all of the participants in our Sangha. May we all be happy. May we all be free from suffering. May we all know peace. May we all be happy. May we all be free from suffering. May we all know peace. And lastly, picture yourself high in the sky, in the heavens, looking down on earth. And imagine, if you will, all of the people, the billions of people on the planet, and see if we can envelop them in our cape of compassion. May you all be happy. May you all be free from suffering. May you all know peace. May you all be happy. May you all be free from suffering. May you all know peace. And just sit for a few seconds with that feeling of love and compassion, and just be with it for a moment. When you're comfortable, open your eyes. So mindfulness and the practice of mindfulness in your everyday life means when you're sitting down at a meeting or by yourself or with your family, you know that you're sitting down. When you're seated and you're about to start eating, there's a part of you that is aware, I'm sitting. We know where our body is, where our arms are, where our feet are. When you're walking, if you're by yourself, just be aware of walking. That's what you're doing at that moment. If you're enjoying the flowers and the trees and the spring blooming, be aware that that's what you're doing. But then, of course, the practice of sitting is very important in the continued cultivation of both mindfulness, wisdom, and compassion. So are we able to take any questions?
Joe, I haven't seen any necessarily come in through the chat.
I see one.
There's one that asks about the book, if you want to talk a little bit about that.
About the book?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just take a second then. So this is the book. It's called Mindfulness Matters by Joe DiNardo. And if you go on Amazon.com to books, type in Mindfulness Matters for Everyone by Joe DiNardo, it'll pop up. And I think it's $10. And whatever royalties I get go directly to Roswell. I don't keep any of it for anything. So please, I think it's a good idea to have the book because it is simple, it is small, it has the instructions in it, it doesn't get complicated with a lot of theory and philosophical discussions and so on. You can do all of that, and I'm not saying it's not important to do that, but when you're just trying to figure out how do I do the practice, and you don't have the opportunity to be working directly with a teacher or to go to sit on a retreat, which I would highly recommend, this book can be very helpful. And, in closing, I'll just say one of my first teachers, a little Bengali Indian fellow, Anagarika Munindraji, a delightful person. He used to always say to me, Joe, you know the way. You know the way. I would say to him, Munindra, I don't. He used to say, you do. Just do it. Just do it. And of course, 40 years later, I begin to just see the profundity of that simple instruction, that to have confidence that this path does not have to be complicated. And it has nothing to do with religion or anything. It has to do with living a skillful, wholesome life, making wise decisions and compassionate decisions. And that's it.
Certainly, Joe, the smallest words and phrases tend to always have the biggest impact. So if that's what we have to, close this all out on, the way, just do it. I think that's very good. So again, Joe, thank you so much for rejoining us, coming back on, for our weekly webinar. And again, thank you to all of the attendees and for everyone who has joined us throughout the past few weeks. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it and learned so much. And again, hope you all have too. The video from today will be available to view on demand, and also a link's going to be sent to your email. And again, this is maybe our last official Ask the Experts Friday webinar series, but we do hope to plan more in the future. Please stay tuned for all of that. All of the previous webinars are available at roswellpark.org/patient webinars. We do also encourage Roswell Park patients to download the brand new My Roswell Patient app to help keep you up to date on the webinars and other information for patients. Of course, that's free, and you can search for it. You search My Roswell in the Google Play or even the Apple App Store. Now, if anyone has any outstanding questions questions or concerns, as always, we continue to encourage you to reach out to your cancer care team. And for any concerns about COVID-19, we consistently update our page on the website. It has additional FAQs and more. You can always check that out at roswellpark.org/coronavirus. That all being said, thank you again. Have a wonderful Friday, a fantastic weekend. Thanks, everyone. Bye.